The ultimate truth. We are bound by original sin, whatever, but we are in suffering. We are experiencing suffering. The Buddha says, the beginning of Buddhism is the acknowledgement that all is suffering. So we are bound. We are in suffering. And the claim is that if you go through certain spiritual practices, in Sanskrit, if you become a sadhaka, a spiritual practitioner, it could be various kinds of practices, depending on the religion, your particular choice, your particular approach, philosophy. It could be meditation. It could be doing good to others. It could be love and devotion and surrender to God. It could be Vedantic analysis, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga. It could be any kind of practice. You become a sadhaka, a spiritual practitioner. Why? Because you are a mumukshu, a seeker after spiritual liberation. I want freedom from suffering. I want freedom from samsara. This samsara which I am trapped in, I want freedom from that. And therefore I am doing spiritual practices. The core teaching of the Buddha sums up the entire structure of religion. There is suffering. There is a cause of suffering. There is an end to suffering, that is moksha, nirvana. And there is a way, sadhana, the Ashtanga Marga. Buddha says, so I am a spiritual seeker. I am doing spiritual practices, and I am a spiritual seeker, mumukshu. Mumukshu literally means one who is seeking freedom. And finally, I hope that after all the spiritual seeking, all the spiritual practice, one day I will become free, enlightened, liberated. I will become jivan mukta, liberated while living, or in different religions, in different languages, I will one day go to heaven and live with God and be free of suffering. This is the structure which we have been taught, which every religion teaches us: bondage, practice, spiritual seeking, aspiration, and freedom. And here comes Gaudapada and says, there is nobody who is in bondage. There is nobody who is practicing spiritual practices. There is nobody who is a spiritual seeker. And how do you account for those who are supposed to be free, enlightened persons? There is nobody who is an enlightened person or free. There is nobody who is mukta. And this is supposed to be the final teaching, the ultimate truth. What does this mean? Today we shall investigate this. Do you see the radical nature? First, you must appreciate why is it so shocking. This one, if properly understood, which we shall attempt to do by the end of this session, we shall try to grasp the meaning, the implication of this. If properly understood, then really we will get an understanding of what samsara is. A deep, direct understanding of what samsara is. We will get a real understanding of what bondage is. When he says there is no bondage, we will see what is really meant. We will understand what is spiritual practice and what is the role of spiritual practice, what it can do and what it cannot do. We will understand that today. We will understand what it is to be a real spiritual seeker, mumukshu, and we shall not only understand what it means to be enlightened, to be free. If one really understands this, grasps it, assimilates it, one will be free by the end of this talk. That's why it's called the ultimate truth, the final teaching. Like last time, this time also the usual cautions apply. I mentioned last time that there is an immature way of understanding this, and there's a mature way of understanding this. The immature way will say, oh, now I realize all kinds of conventional religion and prayer and temples and churches, all of them are false, so they are all imaginary or superstitious. Now I have got the real truth. Even worse, now I know I have no need to meditate. I have no need to pray. I have no need to do any good works or anything like that because I know the truth. I am free. No, that's an immature way of understanding it. The mature way is we get a deeper understanding of what samsara is, what bondage is, what spiritual practice is, what it means to be a spiritual seeker, and finally, what it means to be free. That is the mature understanding which we shall aim at. We shall see how instead of cutting at the root of religion, this actually gives a foundation to religion. That's what we shall see. Where to start? Let's start at the beginning. It says that there is no origination, no creation of the universe, no destruction, no cessation of the universe, na nirodho, na chautpati. What does that mean? We will approach it in different ways in Advaita. Let's take them one by one. Let's take a simple example which I have used often. From clay, a potter fashions a pot, makes a pot, right? So our normal way of saying this is that the potter produced a pot. But if you examine the pot, what do you find? When you touch it, you find you are touching clay. When you see at the top, it is clay. When you see at the bottom, it is clay. Inside it is clay, outside it is clay. When you weigh it, it is the weight of the clay. And you might say there is water there and other things there also, but fine, in principle, it is the weight of the clay. The substance is the clay. It was clay to begin with, it is still clay. What has changed is a form. It is a new form which has emerged. What has changed is a name. Earlier you called it a lump of clay, now you call it a pot. What has changed is the use. You couldn't store water in a lump of clay. Now you can put water or milk in the pot. Name has changed, form has changed, use has changed. Nama, rupa, vyavhara in Sanskrit. But the substance, the reality, is still the same. In the same way, Advaita says, Sat, pure being, existence itself, with different names and forms, appears as this samsara. When the samsara appears, when we see the samsara, then just like the production of the pot, you cannot say a new thing has been created. It is that being itself, sat itself, existence itself, that isness itself, which manifests now as planets and stars, and quarks and protons, as whales and human beings. All of these are names and forms, a network of names and forms drawn upon that primal isness, the being, sat. Sat means pure being. That pure being you are. The Upanishad says, Tat tvam asi, that thou art. You always were that, you are that, and you will continue to be that. Maya just draws a network of names and forms over you, including this particular body and mind, and we say, I am this body and mind. Here is a universe that has been created. But as far as the substance, the reality is concerned, it's still that primal isness, sat. Another way of understanding this is, in a material world, the matter, the clay for example, is shaped into a pot. But when you come to your inner world, the world of consciousness, of awareness, consciousness does not have to be shaped into something. Things just appear in your consciousness. For example, the classic example in which a man mistakes a rope to be a snake. In the darkness, he sees something and thinks it's a rope, actually, but he doesn't know it's a rope. He thinks by mistake that it is a snake. All right, and later he realizes it's not a snake. It was my mistake, it's a rope. Now let me ask you the question. Was the snake born? Did it emerge from an egg? Did it wriggle on top of the rope? And when you saw that it's a rope, did it die and it had to be buried or something? No. The snake, you will say, no. The snake was never born, it was not created, it was not produced, it did not die. Rather, it appeared, and that too by mistake, and once the mistake was corrected, it disappeared.